Hi students, Pete Estabrook here. Let's talk briefly about sus4 chords. So, what does sus4 mean? Well, it means there's a suspended fourth above the root, and that takes the place of the third of the chord. So a dominant seventh chord, let's make a concrete key of C, C, E, G, B flat. Sus4 would be C, F, G, B flat. So that means that we want to be careful about how we use the third of that chord if we're improvising, writing melodies, or writing voicings. One way to kind of step around that so you don't think of what you have to avoid, because we get into, if we try to avoid a note like the third on a dominant seventh chord, what happens is we get into that don't think of a red tomato scenario. So in order to kind of sidestep that, what I do is I use one of two voicings in writing accompaniments, in playing on the piano, or in how I improvise, and it kind of opens things up and makes things a little easier, at least for me. Maybe it will for you. So let's take that G7. What I do, instead of thinking of G7 with a suspended fourth, I convert that to a different notation and I put a D minor 7 over G. It's like having the 2 chord over the dominant bass note. And that allows me to just, especially when improvising, just play freely within D Dorian and not worry about avoiding any notes. You can even hit the 13th, and that in how we do that, somehow it makes it different than if we're trying to stay away from the third on the the G Mixolydian scale. So that's one trick, is to, so what are we doing? We're taking the 2 chord and we're putting it over the 5 bass note, right? So it's like a fourth away, or a fifth above that bass note, the minor chord. Um, Another possibility is to use, for example, like an F major 7 over G. So that's, a whole major 7 chord, a whole step below the bass note. So let's think about what that gives us. It gives us the lowered seventh and ninth, the sus4, um, which is C, and then the 13th, which is E. That's nice. It's a little richer voicing than the D minor voicing. The D minor voicing gives us 5, flat 7, 9, and sus4. So we just get one tension in that particular voicing. Sometimes in pop notation, you'll see just a D minor triad over G, or just an F major triad over G. Those are fine. They're not as interesting. And in jazz, we tend to use more 4-note voicings than 3-note voicings or triads. But if you're writing in a kind of a context that seems more appropriate, go for it. Um, or if you're writing in some sort of a hybrid, modern jazz hybrid context, using those triad voicings could gel with other triadic type of hybrid voicings that you're using around that particular chord. So that's a thought as well. Hopefully that helps clarify sus4. Um, and that'll give you some scale choice when you see that um, chord, as opposed to Mixolydian avoid a note. Now you have the Dorian choice, up a fifth. All right, take care. Give that a try.